I, 26 male, have a young grammar school-aged son, Ollie, with my ex, Caitlin, 26 female. Caitlin has not been actively involved in the past 4 years by her choosing. She hasn't seen Ollie in a year and I have sole custody. By court order, Caitlin is supposed to pay child support. I have to harass it for her every month, threatening to go to court until she pays. I'm doing it all on my own otherwise, the day-to-day care, doctor's appointments, dance, soccer, school, nursing every fever, soothing every nightmare. And I truly don't mind. I love my little boy. It doesn't change that it can be exhausting and emotionally draining. I've asked Caitlin to help more, but she says she's uninterested. I finally gave up. That being said, Caitlin expects me to facilitate all contact. She gets mad if I don't initiate the court-ordered weekly FaceTime call when, according to the court, she's the one who has to call. It's the same if I don't have my son call her, even on Ollie's birthday. She just can't be bothered. I finally stopped doing all of that because it's not my job, and half the time when I call she doesn't answer. If Caitlin sends gifts for Ollie, it's a crapshoot. She usually doesn't even send a card. If she does send a gift, she sells, not asks me to wrap it, put her name on it and buy a card. I did in the beginning until this past birthday. Ollie is learning to read and asked why his mom's card looked identical to mine. I just said that I was helping his mom out. But that made me realise how much labour I was doing for Caitlin. My sister told me to stop all the effort. If Caitlin sends gifts, don't wrap them. Tell Ollie they're from his mom, obviously, but no more gift tags or cards. A few weeks ago, Caitlin told me that she was buying off the wish list. She added she found them cheaper outside Amazon, so she'd be sending them herself. She told me to wrap them and get a card. I told her she could do that. She pointed out I was already wrapping gifts. I asked if she was wrapping gifts for her boyfriend, family, etc. She said yes, but I could do this for her. I told her no, to put some effort in and just wrap them, as well as write a card herself or at least just put a gift tag. But if she doesn't, I'll just give them to Ollie and say they're from Mommy. I don't think he'll care that they're unwrapped. He'll be happy to get what he wanted. Well, Caitlin called my bluff and sent them unwrapped. I put them in the closet and planned to put them out as is in the morning. Caitlin texted me a reminder to wrap them and I said, I already told you what I was doing. I'm done doing all the work for you. If you wanted to put in the effort, you could. I added that as she lives 45 minutes away, she could come down and wrap them herself, maybe even give them to Ollie herself. She said I was being an idiot and hung up. I'm starting to wonder if I should wrap them, but I'm also just so tired of taking up for her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your ex is a piece of work, though. On a side note, if you leave them in the postal packaging, isn't that a form of unwrapping for your child? It's not pretty, of course, but it serves to hide what's inside. And document everything, just in case for any reason she feels she wants to try to get custody again. Good point, but I'm sorry, you are the idiot, OP. You're being a doormat for your ex. I get it, she's still Ollie's mum, but you don't owe her anything. It seems like she only wants to be a part of Ollie's life in order to exert any modicum of control over you that she can. The court has laid out how every interaction is to happen. You don't and shouldn't have to do anything other than what is outlined in the custody agreement. Ollie deserves better than you trying to uphold this falsehood of who his mother is, and so do you. Ex is being a lazy mom and expects you to do all the parenting. No. If she wanted her gift to be presented a certain way, she should have done the damn wrapping herself, since it's not that hard. LMAO. Just put a bow on it and send a picture of it to your ex. There you go. Is that better? Girl can at the very least drop a damn gift bag for his gifts. It's not that much effort. You're doing your best and being an excellent parent to your kid, and you're right. Gift wrap is less important than gifts to a young child. Please know that your son knows who his parents are and can see who is putting in the effort and who really isn't. My ex and his wife adopted a little girl pre-tween earlier this year. Her birthday is on the 22nd. This girl has become very attached to my daughter. The feeling is not exactly mutual, although my daughter is nice to her. My ex expected me to let our daughter be with him and their family on her birthday. My daughter plans to go on a trip up to the mountains with her friend's family for a few days. They leave this afternoon and will be getting back later in the day on the 23rd. With the holidays and other events, my daughter wasn't planning on staying at her dad's until the 27th. My ex is insisting that that is too long to wait and that his other daughter will be crushed that my daughter isn't there on her birthdays. According to him, she has a lot of issues with feeling forgotten and hasn't had the best experiences with birthdays in the past, so my ex and his wife wanted to make this one perfect. So they think my daughter needs to be there for it to be perfect since she's her sister's favourite person. My daughter doesn't want to change her plans though. While I feel bad for the little girl, my ex and his wife should have brought up her birthday sooner. He argues they did, as it was mentioned some time ago, at my daughter's birthday, which was in May, that they would have a big party for her too. Neither my daughter nor I remember this. Furthermore, I never knew when her birthday was. My daughter said she only remembered her birthday was in December and never knew the exact date when her dad talked to her about the party this morning. I think the party plans and the exact date of her birthday should have been brought up more and been more concrete than that for us to plan around it. Not the idiot. Your daughter is not their adopted child's emotional support animal. Making your daughter change her plans for a sibling she barely knows is exactly the perfect way to make her resent and even dislike her new sister. Your ex isn't being very bright about this. He's saying, "I mentioned it in passing once 7 months ago. How dare you not remember?" Even if he really did, he's being unrealistic not to think it should be brought up several times over the year if it's important. This kid has only been around for under a year and your daughter doesn't have to bend to stepmom and dad's plans. All of this said, it would be nice to ask your daughter to phone her sister on the birthday, and if daughter has her own phone, to FaceTime or otherwise video chat with her. If your daughter agrees to this, you should ask her if she would like you to call her to remind her to do it and what would be a good time for you to call if so. This is a great opportunity for you to teach her that, even when plans can't be cancelled, it's a good thing to care about others. My husband and I were flying yesterday with our young toddler. He's very active, so we always buy him his own seat rather than putting him on our laps for the flight. We had bulkhead seats, those at the front of the cabin with extra legroom. When we boarded, the flight attendants told us to belt baby to one of us for takeoff and landing, and that once the seatbelt signs were off, we could settle him into his own seat. That was all fine. I put him in my lap and belted him to me while waiting for other passengers to board. As the last people were boarding, another flight attendant came towards us with a tall guy using a cane. She pointed at the empty seat between me and my husband and asked the dude if that would be okay. Husband said, "Excuse me, what do you mean?" Flight attendant, "This gentleman is in some pain and needs space to stretch his legs. The only bulkhead seat we have open is between the two of you. If you'd like to move next to each other, I'm sure the gentleman wouldn't mind sitting in the aisle or window." Me, "That's not an open seat, that's a baby's seat." Flight attendant, "Madam, children under 2 aren't allocated seats. Please let the gentleman sit down. We had blankets and a couple of kiddos' toys on the middle seat." Husband, taking out passports and boarding cards to show her, "Yes, we know you don't give infant seats, which is why I paid for it. My son is sitting here, I'm not holding him for a 10-hour flight at night. We planned ahead and I'm sorry, but this man can't sit here." The flight attendant went and got the head flight attendant, who agreed with us, and they carried on to find the dude an open aisle seat. The flight took off 15 minutes later, so I'm assuming it all got sorted. But when we told my husband's family after the flight, his parents started going on about how that's what's wrong with this generation. Apparently, we don't consider others enough. Not the idiot. His poor planning does not sacrifice an adjoining seat you planned and purchased. The attendant was trying to bully you into submission. The basic needs of your family come before the comfort of a stranger. 10 hours in your lap sounds miserable for kids and parents. That's what's wrong with this generation. We don't consider others enough. Yeah, and your parents' generation doesn't know when to shut up and keep their opinions to themselves. There's being considerate and there's falling on swords, and your parents' generation didn't do the latter either. If someone needs legroom, they need to book an appropriate seat for themselves. They can't turn up and expect others to give up their seats. It has nothing to do with which generation they are, and I'm annoyed with OP's mother for saying that, and I'm 65. OP, you absolutely should get what you pay for. You shouldn't even have been put in that position. The flight attendant offered the seat without even checking if it was really open. Once the flight attendant knew the facts, the attendant should have apologized to you and moved on. They can't take your money and then pressure you to give up what you've paid for. I, 45 male, have a daughter, teen, a son, young teen, and another son, tween. 2 years ago, I gifted my eldest daughter a MacBook as a birthday present. She's had it since, took extremely good care of it, and loved the gift. In fact, I could go resell it as new if I wanted to. So what happened was, on Friday, my daughter brought the laptop to school. She uses that instead of the Chromebook, and some idiot threw her backpack, so the screen is basically done for. My daughter was extremely upset when she told me this, and even if I was upset at what happened, I didn't punish her for it, knowing it wasn't her fault. I told my wife about it, as well as telling her I was considering buying her a new one. I say considering, but I'd really already made up my mind. and my wife said I shouldn't because it would be a lesson and that maybe next year she could get a new one. I told her that her reasoning wasn't very fair since my daughter made sure that the computer was taken care of. So the next day, today, my daughter and I went to the store, bought her a new one and reassured her that it wasn't her fault. And when my wife found out, she was pretty annoyed with me for doing that. I don't think I'm in the wrong at all. So am I the idiot? Edit, we have talked to the parents, they have hopefully punished him, made him apologise, etc. They were just as disappointed as my daughter. We're not making them pay though. I don't understand why you aren't holding the kid who broke the MacBook by throwing a backpack responsible. I'd say not the idiot for getting your daughter a new one, but you are the idiot for not holding the responsible party and their parents accountable and recouping your money that way. I'm curious why they wouldn't replace the screen instead of buying an entirely new computer. Even without Apple Care Plus, it's significantly less than buying a new laptop. There really was no reason to do that, and the other parents absolutely should have at least helped pay. Maybe the OP is well off, and the parents of the kid who did this are dirt poor, and he doesn't want their kids to go hungry or the rent not paid because he insists on them paying for it. You don't know the circumstances and shouldn't assume he hasn't made a well thought out decision. Stuff happens. MacBooks are expensive, and I'm not going to beggar another family over a teenager's stupid mistake. You are the idiot. Your daughter shouldn't be taking a $1,700 laptop to school. It's entirely predictable that it would be damaged there. Let her use it at home and use a Chromebook at school like everyone else. Large financial purchases, especially when they relate to one of your children, should be agreed on by both parents. You don't get to make these kinds of parenting decisions arbitrarily on your own. Why didn't you press your wife more on why she thinks it's a lesson for her daughter? Why didn't you talk more to come to an agreement on what to do? I'm going to take a wild guess that OP thinks money solves everything and the wife doesn't. He didn't try and see if it could be repaired, just immediately gave her a new one, didn't discourage her from taking expensive hardware to school, and instead using what's provided, and doesn't seem to care that much if the other kid is punished or even why he threw the bag. I bet this runs way deeper than this one story. My husband has food insecurity and overeats even when he's not hungry out of fear of it all being eaten before he gets to taste it. Every item of snacks or soda in this house that is bought is gone within a few days because he binges until it's gone. And he's told the kids they couldn't have more dinner because there wasn't enough so that he could eat it later. I was at work for that one. I did make him get therapy, but it's not doing much good because he doesn't apply himself at all. He thinks it's pointless and refuses to do the steps they provide. Today I bought stuff for lasagna and bought myself a big salad because I can't eat red sauce. Within an hour of being home, he was already in the fridge asking if he could have my salad because he was starving. I said no originally, but he kept prying and said, "Come on, please, I'll share it with you." I said, "What the heck, whatever," and walked off. He left me 3 bites. I tossed it in the trash. This was not even 10 minutes before I started cooking. He said multiple times, "I'm so full, now my belly hurts," or "I ate too much," which is common for him. And I was still salty about it, honestly. So I only made half a sheet pan of the lasagna, which would only feed the kids. My husband said he was so full anyway. I gave the kids their food 20 minutes later. I prep so cooking takes 0 time at all. I tell them they can finish the pan off. Well, my husband comes out and sees the lasagna and says, "Ooh, that's what I'm talking about." I said, "Absolutely not. You just ate my dinner and you were full 30 minutes ago. This is the kids' food." I didn't say this in front of the kids. He says I'm a royal witch because he needs the lasagna, and it's going to send him backward because now I'm withholding food from him. Edit, my husband is not healthy. He's 5'10" and 250 pounds. He's a big guy. He was 180-ish when we met. They are my kids, not his biologically. I didn't know he had these issues, and he only openly showed these behaviours starting maybe 6 months ago. Before this, by his own admission, he'd been hiding food in his car so we couldn't touch it because he was afraid we would eat it all, issues stemming from foster care. Not the idiot. If he's going to therapy and refusing to do the work, he's not going to therapy. He's just making therapy-adjacent hand motions. You're right to be furious. However, being furious isn't going to help in the long term. Your husband's disordered eating is affecting the whole household. He wants to eat the children's food even though he was full 20 minutes ago. Not only is he modelling atrocious behaviour to the children, but he's also going to wind up sending them the same way, eating fast because somebody else is going to eat it if they don't. It's time to stop doing this. If he doesn't want to change his disordered eating, he won't. He's getting everything he wants right now. All the food that anybody else needs is his. Classic addict behavior. He isn't moving forward, so what is there to send him backward? My dad grew up in poverty in a developing nation. He rarely got food. The way he talked about getting a Coca-Cola as a treat once when he was a kid brought tears to my eyes because the way he spoke about it, you would have thought it was a bar of gold and not a soda. He would have starved rather than deny me a second helping of dinner. I literally cannot fathom him doing what your husband did to your kids. He has a severe problem, and he needs to get a damn grip before this behavior starts rubbing off on your children. You're hurting your kids by staying with him, and they are not his kids biologically, which I think is what makes his actions so severe, the competition against them. I always wonder why people don't vet their potential spouses over long periods. If he showed progress from therapy, he'd be redeemable, but you don't need this guy inhaling food like a vacuum.